Good evening, all of you, once again, and welcome to this session on career options after engineering. As you all can see the slide, which very well tells a very apt word in today's context for quite good number of students, and that is confused. Confused in terms of what exactly I should do after my engineering. And when life gives you so many options, definitely when we do not have the right direction, we always land up in a confused state. Whether I should go for a job, I should go for business, I should go for competition, I should go for higher studies. I do not know. I don't have any idea as to exactly what I should do. And by any chance, did you introspect as to why you people get confused with all these things? First and the foremost thing is no academic subjects of your engineering career or engineering curriculum teaches you these type of things. And that is where I always keep telling that in today's context, academic-based education is not only sufficient. What is very important is value-based education. So with that note, let me once again welcome you all for the career options after BE. Now, what exactly you mean by career options? As a matter of fact, how many of you wonder which are all the best career options after engineering for all of you? If you ask me very professionally, after discussing and deliberating with quite good number of people in higher education sector, quite good number of people in the IT industry, based on my experience and my knowledge, I could put forward in front of all of you the career options is actually a deliberate process of knowing who you are so that you can be sure of where you want to go or what you want to be at some defined point in the future. You look at all the four words which are highlighted in red color: who, where, what, and future. For me, you are all a student of computer science or information science or electronics. But I do not know in depth about you people. I do not know inherent qualities, inherent features of you people. I do not know your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. In one of my sessions, I had told you people to prepare your own SWOT analysis. Very few people prepared their SWOT analysis and they have sent it to me. Be sure of where you want to go. It is high time that you guys have to decide where exactly you want to go in your life. What is it that you want out of your life? And all these things happens only in the future at some or the other point. So the best question that I would like to ask you is, how many of you wonder which are all the best career options after engineering? You would have seen some of your brothers or sisters, siblings working in IT industry. So some of you may think that, let me also work in IT industry. One of your brother or sister is doing master's program in US, in UK, or probably in India. So some of you may think I will also land up doing higher education. So majority of you, if I ask this question, majority of you will land up either telling I will go for a job or probably I will choose a higher education. But life is not only that. Not everybody will make it to the best of the IT industry. Not everybody will make it to the best of the universities across the globe, irrespective of the geographical location. What is very important in making a career is, do you really love? Do you really feel yourself that you are fit to that particular career? Just because somebody else is doing masters, I will also do masters. Somebody else has joined in, IT industry, I will also join IT industry. I mean, that should not be your spirit. Engineering graduation, what you people are doing, let me be very honest with all of you, that it is the most popular graduation course that majority of the students in our country take after completing their +2 or PUC or whatever you call it as. As quite number of times I have told you that you really do not know why you have taken engineering, why you have taken a specific branch of engineering. By the time you guys complete first year, you do not know what is it that is going to be in store for you, because the entire first year goes in understanding what is engineering and why did you join engineering. So choosing the right career is always a confusion for quite good number of students. And more confusion when this beautiful planet Earth is full of opportunities. The world is full of opportunities. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you, you might not be aware of so many opportunities that is there in front of you. So my sincere suggestion to you is, one has to know the list of all the career options after engineering to select the right one. Irrespective of which semester you people are studying, it is high time for every one of you to decide. If you are in 6th semester, and if you still do not know what exactly you want to do after engineering, then I have my own doubts and apprehensions. But if you are in 4th semester or you are in 2nd semester, this is the appropriate time for you people to think about what are all the career options that I have, what all I can think I can do after my engineering, and this probably, after 4th semester or after 2nd semester, that would be a very, very ideal time for you to work towards what exactly you want to do after your engineering. Now that's the beauty of this slide actually. You might be surprised to see this particular slide, that are there so many career options for me to do it? Hey, come on, I was just thinking, engineering aadmele I will get a job in IT industry, or I will do my master's program. According to me, there are only 2 options. But when you look at the best career options after engineering, I will give you 7 different choices. I will give you 7 different options. And with these 7 different options, I'm sure I would have covered the entire gamut of world is full of opportunities. The first one is campus placement. The second one is higher studies. Third one is public service undertakings. Fourth one is entrepreneurship. Fifth one is civil services. You have defense services. And the beauty of this slide is you have offbeat options. I'm 100% sure majority of you would be listening this word, listening this terminology called as offbeat options for the first time in your life. What I'm going to do is, for next roughly 90 minutes, I'm going to take you through all these career options. I may not probably go in depth of each one of them, because this is just a session on career options after graduation. At the end of the session, I'm going to send you a feedback link and requesting all of you to please fill the feedback link. That will give me a clear-cut idea about quite good number of stuffs, which will enable me and you to go forward. We can take up session on higher studies exclusively, because if I have to tell you about higher studies, I require at least 3 hours. If I have to tell you about campus placement, some of them have already listened to my session, I require almost 1 full day. And so about entrepreneurship, or probably the defense services or civil services. So in this session, we are just going to have an overview about all these career options that I'm placing in front of all of you. The first one is the campus placement. One of the most favorite career options after engineering for quite good number of engineering students not only in our college, but also across all colleges across our country. You can choose to get an engineering job through campus placements. As I told you in quite good number of occasions that getting a job through campus placement is the most easiest thing that one can do it, because you do not know what is the competition outside. And this campus placement can help you to get a high paying job even before you get your degree. Because you know that the companies come to your college for campus recruitment at the end of the 6th semester. And if you are lucky enough, based on your performance, you will be getting recruited by that particular company and they will offer you some pay package. So just before your degree, or probably quite good amount of time before your degree, you have your appointment order with you. And these campus placements can be very, very lucrative. The number of jobs offers worth more than 1 crore has increased considerably in the past few years. And for good campus placement, you have to keep in mind certain things. You have to work extremely hard to maintain good CGPA score. You have to prepare for the job interviews. You should know the type of questions they ask, the type of answers you should give. Apart from your regular academic activities, take part in extracurricular activities like, paper presentation, publication of, journal publication, which all these things I find very, very lagging in majority of you people. There are few students who are listening to me right now who have recently published the paper. But it is not the case with majority of them or every one of them, or most of them, if I'm right. Study the companies you are applying for, which company is coming to your class, for your campus placement, what is the type of the company, what type of work they do, what is the manpower, turnover of that company, who is the CEO of that company. Getting a campus placement gives you security and a guaranteed job when you complete your degree actually. And if you feel what exactly I should do after BTech, campus placement is a great way to start your career. Showcase your soft skills. When you guys take part in extracurricular activities or co-curricular activities, you get an opportunity to showcase your soft skills, such as leadership, communication, creativity, and etc. Let us move into the next career option, that is called as higher studies. Now, this is a big $1 million question. A lot of people are confused. How should I go about higher studies? On one aspect, campus placement is very easy. When the company comes to your college or your institute, you just have to appear, ensuring that you have minimum prerequisite for appearing to that particular company's placement process. But when it comes to higher studies, it is not like that. And I personally feel one of the most popular career options after engineering is to pursue higher studies. Again, higher studies is not everybody's cup of tea. Elrigu ella collegeagu admission sigalla. It is not so easy to get admission for higher studies in India agli athwa abroad agli. The reason is the number of seats are very, very limited. And apart from that, there are quite good number of constraints why people do not choose for higher studies. Now, when you look at higher studies, if anybody sitting there is interested to go for higher studies, then quite good number of questions comes to his or her mind. And the answer to these type of questions is, what type of higher studies should I opt for? When you look for higher studies as an option, should I go for higher studies towards technical, or should I go towards management? You can decide any one. Definitely, I don't think any one of you will go towards commerce side or to art side or BSc agriculture. I don't think you guys will do it unless you have really a passion of making your career in agriculture. So that is a very, very stray case, which I'm not going to address in this particular session. But yes, I will give you two broad categories of higher studies. One is technical and one is management. And it does not stop here. When you look at technical and management, again, there is a category of that. Should I do my technical master's program in India or should I do it in abroad? And the same thing actually holds good even for management, right? So when you look at higher studies in India, particularly with respect to technical program, I'm going to brief you about technical aspect as well as I'm going to brief you about the management aspect. For technical program in our country, we call it as MTech or ME. There are two qualifying examinations. It depends upon where you want to do your higher studies. MTech in computer science and engineering, MTech in electronics and communication, MTech in digital electronics. I mean, there are quite a good number of such courses. One way of getting to higher studies is through your GATE examination. That stands for Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. We'll come to that. And the second one is the University PG Entrance Exam. Now, what is GATE? As I told you, it stands for Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering, which is an all India entrance examination that primarily tests the comprehensive understanding of the candidate. And when I say comprehensive understanding of the candidate, I mean comprehensive understanding in various undergraduate subjects that you people have studied during your 4 years of journey in engineering. The Indian Institute of Science, along with 7 Indian Institute of Technologies, they jointly conduct the GATE examination every year. And this examination is actually conducted on the 2nd February of every year. And once the examination is conducted in February of a particular year, in the same year, the admissions are given for the session that starts in August. It is the qualifying entrance examination. Please understand. GATE is the qualifying entrance examination which is conducted for admission to postgraduate courses like ME Agli or MTech Agli, even PhD in Indian Institute of Science and 7 IITs in our country. And this exam is conducted on behalf of the National Coordination Board, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Please understand. A valid GATE score is essential for obtaining the financial assistance, not only during masters, but also during your PhD program, or it is also called as doctoral programs if somebody is interested. And let me tell you, there is nothing like cracking the GATE examination. You get an opportunity to study in one of the premier institutes of our country, like IISc and IITs. And I'm not very sure how many of you know the culture of IISc and IITs. It's an amazing culture. I always have this apprehension in my mind that when my visa got rejected when I went to US for higher studies, why I did not get in prestigious IITs or Indian Institute of Science. One of the reasons probably was I did not appear for GATE, actually speaking, because my target was not GATE. My target was not to do post-graduation in any one of our institutes in our country, actually. So depending upon the norms adopted by a specific institute, a candidate is looked into based on his or her performance. 70% weightage performance is given in the GATE examination. Apart from that, 30% weightage is given in the candidate's performance in the interview or that particular institute's tests and or academic records as per the rules laid down by Ministry of Human Resource Development, the Government of India. And let me tell you, to get into these prestigious universities, your GATE score should not be less than 94 or 95 percentile. Very, very important. These institutes will keep a minimum passing percentage as a cutoff. And if you don't qualify, never they will allow you to enter the portals of such institutes. As a matter of fact, the leading NITs also in our country, they look out for valid GATE score. In fact, you'll be surprised that GATE scores are also valid for public sector jobs. Several public sector undertakings or organizations, they actually consider the GATE scores for screening you people before they actually provide you jobs. And once you take the GATE examination, the validity of that score is for 3 years from the date of announcement of the results. And let me tell you, you need 1 to 1.5 years of rigorous preparation for GATE. And as a matter of fact, let me also tell you that any career option you choose, you need minimum of 1 year rigorous preparation if you are aiming at world-class institute where you can step in for probably remaining 1.5 to 2 years of your education career. I'm only talking about post-graduation. Apart from GATE, you can also take up the local university qualifying examinations, which is done in all the states of our country. For example, if you want to do master's program in Karnataka itself, maybe you do not want to go outside, you are a homesick fellow, you do not want to leave your parents and go. If you have all these type of constraints, you can land up doing master's program in Bangalore itself. You can take up different universities entrance examination. You can take up VTU entrance examination, which is called as PGCET. And with good score, you can take up the master's program in any one of the engineering colleges in our own state. You can take up qualifying examinations of masters in other universities like Reva University, PS University. There are quite a good number of universities in our Karnataka state. You can take up the examinations, clear that, and you take admissions to master's program. So this is all about doing technical master's program leading to MTech or ME as far as our country is concerned. Another look at the master's program is management. I'll just first finish your higher studies concept in India, taking technical followed by management. And then I will tell you how to go about doing master's program abroad. If you are interested in taking up management course, let me be very honest with all of you. BE followed by MBA is a very good combination. I'm telling you very frankly. BE followed by MBA is a very, very good combination. And if you want to do, if management fascinates you, if you are interested in management, one way of getting through is through your CAT examination, what is called as Common Admission Test. It is a common aptitude test, which is a gateway to 20 IIMs and over 1,200 plus B schools in our country. Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, IIM Bangalore, you would have seen on Banerghatta Road, diagonally opposite to Apollo Hospital. IIM Allahabad, the leading management institute in our country is IIM Allahabad. And none other than our great Narayan Murthy is the chairman of the board of directors in Indian Institute of Science, IIM Allahabad. And Mukesh Ambani's younger brother, Anil Ambani, is the alumni of IIM Bangalore. Over 2 lakh candidates appear in CAT examination every year. Just to give you a figure which I extracted from the literature, the CAT examination which took place last year, 2.3 lakh applications were received and total number of candidates who took the test was 1.9 lakh. And the CAT test is taken in the month of November. As I told you, CAT is the common admission test for MBA programs. And it is not only Indian Institute of Management, right? IIMs in our country is like IIScs and IITs. But apart from Indian Institute of Management, there are quite good number of MBA colleges in our country. Like I can name a few. MDI Gurgaon is one of the good MBA college. FMS Delhi is one good college. IMT Ghaziabad is another good college. And top MBA colleges in our country. So if you are interested in management, you can explore the opportunity in MBA programs, not only offered by Indian Institute of Management, but also among top B schools. Symbiosis in Pune is doing very well actually. You can even try. Getting into Symbiosis Pune is not an easy task. Now the question comes is study abroad. You would have seen your brother or sister already doing master's program in US or UK or Australia or Canada. Again, that is $1 million question. If at all I want to do my master's program abroad, yell madly, sir. Should I go to US? Should I go to UK? Should I go to Australia, Canada, or should I go to any other country? It's $1 million question, because it is not only a different geographical location, but there are so many other factors that comes into mind. That is why the first question that should come in your mind is, why study abroad? There are many reasons why one of you should study abroad, frankly speaking, because of late, studying abroad has become very popular. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ನೋಡು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ US ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, they will come to me for recommendation letter. Some of your own seniors have come to me for recommendation letter. Some of the students in sixth semester, I'm sure definitely there is one student who is listening to me. She is planning to go abroad. She is in constant touch with me in terms of what exactly has to be done and all. But for quite good number of international students, see, when you go abroad, you are an international student, correct? So the appeal is likely to be a combination of gaining not only quality education abroad, but also you will experience altogether a new culture. And the language over there becomes your second language, even though English is considered to be the global language, but the language will become your second language. And apart from that, let me also tell you that you will be molded to gain a global mindset, right? But on the other hand, for some people, going abroad is like homesick. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಸರ್, ಎಲ್ರೂ ಬಿಟ್ಟಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಯಾರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿಕಲ್ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ಬೇರೆ, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? All these things are there. Where in the world should I study is the next question. Because choosing where in the world you want to study is not an easy task. It depends on your own personal interests. You should also think about the cost of studying in that country. Cost, when I say in terms of tuition cost, living cost, graduate career prospects, is there a good career for me out in the market? And apart from that, overall safety and welfare of every one of you. So when you talk about where in the world should I study, US, UK, Australia, Canada, these are 4 popular countries. But let me also tell you that of late, European countries, the quality of higher education in European countries is nevertheless, please understand, you can still make, as a matter of fact, quite good number of students are now going to European countries for higher studies. Finland is one country where the higher education is so beautiful. Try European countries. Ellaru US ಹೋಗಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Correct. There are other countries, there are other good universities. In fact, if you ask me, Leningrad Technical University in Moscow is one of the good university for artificial intelligence and robotics actually. Russia is also a good place for higher studies, but when the higher studies in Russia, when you compare it for engineering, medicine has got a higher priority. In fact, medicine in United States of Soviet Republic, Russia, is much, much better than engineering. So when you look at that, when can I start applying for studying abroad? Let me tell you very honestly, considering your application, which you apply to the university as early as possible, is the best way to go. Getting into good universities is not an easy task. The application deadlines differs from university to university. And when you talk about abroad, the common session where most of the Indians go is what is called as fall session. If you guys are in 6th semester right now, and after graduation, you do not want to waste your time, Andre, you go abroad for doing your masters in 2022. In fall 2022, Andre, the session starts in September 2022. And the orientation program of most of the universities takes place during the last week of August. So one session abroad, let us take US as an example. One session in US universities starts from fall, which is September. And the applications of those universities will be from January onwards till mid of June or July, depends upon the university. Then you have spring semester and you have summer semester. Spring semester starts somewhere in November, December, plus or minus, and summer semester starts from March. But majority of them, they prefer fall semester for various reasons. And what are the entry requirements for study abroad programs? And that is very, very important. Right? So we will look into these entry requirements in the coming slides. But a lot of students face difficulty in starting with the application process. Let me give you a few tips about doing higher studies abroad. First and the foremost thing is do your research. It is good if you people start as early as possible. 6th semester students, right immediately after my session, should start this if you are planning to do higher studies abroad. Begin by identifying the course that is most suitable for you. Note down its strengths and interests, and also search for the courses available as per your current qualifications. Because some of you are electronics graduate, some of you are going to become computer science graduate, and it is not necessary that electronics graduate should go and join for higher studies that will lead to MS program in United States. You can also choose doing MS in some other courses. Maybe you can choose MS in those domains related to the field of computer science. Visit the relevant universities' websites. There's nothing like websites. You will get full-fledged, fresh, first-hand information in the university websites. Look for their application procedures, their requirements, their deadlines, and also their tuition fee and all those things. As a matter of fact, keep all your literature work, which I can also call it as a research material, ready for your takeoff. And this research, it requires 10 months to approximately 1 year. The next one is take the standardized tests. It is not easy to go abroad. Let me be very honest. You have to take up some international examinations. One of the most sought of examination is GRE, which stands for Graduate Record Examination, which we'll have a look at it afterwards. You also have English language proficiency test, which we call it as IELTS. So for these type of tests, you need to start early with the preparation, because these tests involve English language as a measure of testing your skills, testing your proficiency. And the English is not the type of English that we people talk or we people come across in our day-to-day activities here. The level of English is totally different in these type of international examinations. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, the preparation should be very, very early. And keep some buffer time with you if at all there's a need for you to take the test once again. Then application preparation. You need to prepare your application. You need to shortlist your universities. You need to keep all your documents in place within the timeline. And please understand, lethargic attitude has got no scope in foreign universities. I'm telling you very honestly. They are very particular about deadlines. And if you are not a guy who maintains time, you'll have a tough time there. So many students, they apply to foreign universities, particularly in US. And once you have good scores with you, you shortlist the universities accordingly, based on your preference, based on your budget, based on your geographical location, adu idu ellanu. And then you start applying to the universities. And apart from that, you also have the admission decision, where the graduating admission department of that university will decide whether they should admit you. And along with application preparation, there are two important documents that needs to be sent. Of course, all other documents, needless to say, you should have with you. Every transcript of your 10th standard, 12th standard, all semesters, everything avellanu. Your scores of international examinations, depending on which university you are going, whether you require GRE, you require TOEFL, you require IELTS. But two other documents which are very important is, one is statement of purpose. That should be written by you only. And another one is letter of recommendation given by professors of your department. Usually most of the universities, they look at recommendation letters from 2 or 3 professors. And not necessarily the professor should be working in your own department, in your own college. Even if any other professor knows you, who can write a good recommendation letter for you, you should be able to take it up. And believe me, letter of recommendation written by a professor plays a very, very vital role in your admission process. Sometimes it will also help you to get a stipend in the university where you are applying, or probably you would have taken the admission. Of course, the admission decision depends on the university. But if you have a good score, you have a good academic record, your statement of purpose is good, and a good letter of recommendation by a professor, these 3-4 points will definitely help you to get admission from the university which you are planning to. And two things is the visa preparation. All these countries, they give sufficient time for international candidates to apply for visa and come to the university without any problems. In fact, quite good number of them, they apply for visa 3 months in advance from the day of their arrival. So you should go to the embassy office and with all the necessary documents, apply for visa well in time, because sometimes visa processing, will take quite good amount of time actually. And then the last one is pre-departure, where you guys have to make arrangements for your departure. You should make arrangements for your health insurance, the accommodations, book your flights, because the flight tickets keeps on becoming expensive. And please do not go for last minute booking of flights, because as I told you, the flight tickets will be more and more expensive. Sometimes people prefer to go to the southern hemisphere and then fly. So they go from Bangalore to Hong Kong and Hong Kong to Chicago or the New York, or sometimes they take Emirates and go via Dubai. Correct. So all these things are there, right? So when we talk about higher studies abroad, I can touch upon in a much more deeper fashion as to how these tips can be taken forward so that you'll end up getting in one of the good universities. Let me give you a brief about graduate record examinations. It is required by graduate schools and the departments, and these scores are used to assess the suitability of the applicants for graduate programs across the subject areas, right? Like, for example, in computer science or electronics or whatever it is. The duration of this exam is 3 hours, 45 minutes. The test content is divided into 3 parts: the verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and analytical reasoning. As a matter of fact, some universities, they look out for GRE subjective test also. Subjective test, if you are applying for master's program in computers field, then you should appear for computer science subject test or electronics or any other field. But general test irutalla, that will consist of verbal, quantitative, and analytical writing. There is a lot of change, how this GRE examination is conducted. In fact, this is conducted by an organization called as ETS, that is Educational Testing Service. When I wrote my GRE, it was paperwork, it was a manual. We have to answer it through pen and pencil or whatever it is. But now it is all computerized. You just hook onto the computer, you take up the test, and within half an hour, 45 minutes, you even get the score. In fact, you get the score immediately. That's what I could believe nowadays. So you need to be good at verbal reasoning, quantitative, and analytical writing. Now, what happens is, as a matter of fact, when you take up these GRE examinations or IELTS, you can send the scores directly to a couple of universities. The testing agency will help you in all those things. And you should also keep track of the cost of these international exams. In fact, I think for GRE, it is $200+. And whenever I talk about dollar as a currency, it is always with respect to US dollars. And the validity for GRE score is 5 years. Another requirement is test of English as a foreign language. Institutions offering programs in English, TOEFL results are also accepted as a proof of English language proficiency. And the duration of this is not actually 3 hours, 45 minutes. I think there's a small typing mistake. It's actually 4 hours, as far as my knowledge goes. And the test basically consists of reading, listening, speaking, and also writing. And this TOEFL test, which stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language, the cost of the test includes free score reports up to 4 institutions of your choice. But if you want to send additional reports, then you may have to give some extra fees. Of course, the cost of TOEFL depends upon the test center location, depends upon the city. But before you take up this examination, be sure to check whether these tests are accepted by the institutions you are applying to. Of late, people are not taking TOEFL exam. They are preferring IELTS, as IELTS is something that is accepted by most of the universities. So if a university is not accepting TOEFL score, and if you are keen in going to that university, then please check it out. There's no point in you people taking a TOEFL score actually. And unlike GRE, the validity of the score is 5 years. TOEFL score is valid only for 2 years. This is the examination I was talking about, IELTS, International English Language Testing System. It is also accepted as a proof of language proficiency. Duration is 2 hours, 30 minutes. More or less the same pattern like listening, reading, writing, and speaking. You should be extremely good at English. You should be extremely good at writing skills, very, very important, and your speaking skill also. Best computer science schools in United States, according to me. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. It's a dream for any computer science graduate to be a part of these type of institutes. Stanford University, Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, University of California, Berkeley in California itself, Princeton University, New Jersey, University of Washington, Columbia University, Cornell University. I've just listed out few universities actually. It is anybody's dream to be a part of MIT or Stanford, world's leading universities actually. MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Harvard University, University of North Carolina. These are amazing universities in the United States. GMAT examination. It is required by business schools abroad. I'm talking about. This is doing management course abroad to assess a candidate's suitability for business schools by assessing verbal, mathematical, and analytical skills. Again, you have the duration and test content in front of you. But compared to United States, what I am given to understand is the management programs in United Kingdom is much, much better. But at the same time, it's very costly in United Kingdom actually. So you guys can think about higher studies, not only in US or in UK. You can also think about Canada, Australia, nevertheless, even European countries. The procedure for all the universities, irrespective of the geographical location, by and large remains the same, right? So if at all we land up doing a session on higher education, Avaga, I will touch upon in more deeper fashion. Some of the top universities abroad for MBA, according to me, is the first one is Stanford University, because they have a business school in their campus. The Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, MIT Sloan School of Management, Harvard Business School. You have INSEAD France, INSEAD Singapore, London School of Business, and Columbia Business School in Columbia University. Top universities across the globe for MBA actually. When you look at countries like Singapore or France, probably the cost of living, the tuition fees will be definitely less than London Business School or probably the Stanford University or University of Pennsylvania, where we have Wharton School actually. But when I did some literature work in terms of MBA, this is what I found actually. I'm not very sure about in-depth knowledge about these countries, but yes, these are the cheapest countries to do MBA. And if you look at it, surprisingly, UK and USA does not figure actually. So obviously it's a common sense that those two countries are expensive to do MBA program. As a matter of fact, Norway is a very cheap country to do MBA. It's very surprising that people are not aware that Norway, Taiwan, Germany, they stand in the top 3 list in the globe in terms of the cost incurred by the international students to do master's program in business administration. And you can also see our own country, India, is at 6th position.